Pathikichu kanne.
Hello Makale, welcome to our first launch of Aiyoo Pathikichu podcast, and I'm super excited. We've got three amazing women that I can speak to, and it's going to be about some edgy topics. Ellaru சூடான டீ கொண்டு வந்திருக்கீங்களா ஸ்பில் பண்றதுக்கு so it's going to be some really deep truths that we're going to share. So let's start, and we've got three lovely women. Let's start with Radhe. Radhe, tell me a little bit about yourself.
So, my name's Radhe. I came to England when I was 3 years old, and I'm a mother of three. I'm a single mother of three, divorced in 2020. I work in the NHS as a managing partner for a GP practice, and I have my own consultancy, and I work for the Care Quality Commission. So I also am a cancer survivor.
Wow, we're going to touch a little bit into that later. Thank you, Radhe. GJ, go on, tell me a little bit about yourself.
My name is Jermaine. I come from mixed backgrounds.
Wait, let me guess. Jermaine from Germany?
I'm not your middle name, Jermaine.
Listen, my family, it's like a samba. I thought it would be a good idea to name me from Germany. It's a French name. So, up Savitri. From Pathikichu, I'm German, and so here we are. So I'm a professional parrot bouncer, otherwise known as a teacher. So I'm head of art at a private school, darling.
Fabulous.
And I've also got my own business, DJ Arts, to empowering humanity through art, essentially. So I'm all about creating, connecting, collaborating with people in the community. That's me.
Awesome. And Suja?
So I am Suja. I was born in Germany, and I actually came over on a boy's passport.
Wow.
Through, one of those.
So you were gender fluid?
I was gender fluid at the age of 3.
Yeah.
Through one of the agencies, and I came over to England when I was 3. Yeah, I'm the
Oh,
oldest.
illegal.
Yes. I'm the oldest of 3 girls. Got married at 19. Did the whole very good Tamil girl thing. Had my oldest when I was 21, and then my next son when I was 25. I have 2 adorable young men as children who are 20 and 16. And then just before my 40th birthday, literally the month of my 40th birthday, I turned around and told my husband of 20 years that I wanted a divorce and that I was leaving. That was me in a nutshell personally. Professionally, I did a degree in accounting and finance because that was the next kind of available step if you weren't going to become a doctor, lawyer or engineer. Accountant was okay for my mum. And then obviously I had my kids while I was at university, so it was like, what do I do with the children and with a job? So I went into teaching. I then went into special needs teaching, and I'm actually a special needs educational coordinator. I kind of focus on education, healthcare plans, and I talk to a lot of the local authorities, etc., about their needs. And because of that, and because I'm Tamil, I then decided to start my own special needs company, which supports Tamil parents of children with special needs in our community and just help them navigate the really kind of the landmine of information that they struggle to understand. And that's called Nurture Them. And just because I struggled to rant in person, I then started ranting on TikTok, and through that, I am a qualified life coach as well, and through the ranting on TikTok, I started coaching Tamil women who are very much like me.
Brilliant.
So, yeah.
Amazing. Fantastic.
So, okay. So Suja, tell us about you.
Okay, so she's Suja, I'm Suju.
Okay, sorry.
That's okay. Rather, in your eyes, we're both Suja, so that's fine. I came to this country in 2001. I was born and brought up in India. So unlike these 3 who have got Ila Tamil background, I've got Indian Tamil background. I'm not Tamil by birth. I'm Malu by birth, but Tamil by spirit, especially if it is local Sarayam. But yeah, so I identify myself more as Tamil than Malu. My Tamil is far better than my Malayalam.
Wow.
But yeah, you should say definitely better than yours. I did my post-graduation and my schooling, everything in India, came here by way of marriage, arranged marriage, obviously, to a man. I think I realized I was gay quite early, but I thought it's, back in those days, we didn't have anybody to tell us, okay, I thought it was wrong. I thought the only life that you can lead is a straight path in life, and then so got married to this guy. Tried to lead genuinely a life of the straight woman, but it didn't work out. Got divorced after 8 years of marriage, thanks to him being physically and mentally abusive to me. I managed to get out of it. Finally was able to, in this country, in the UK, come out to be who I actually am and live my truth. So I'm openly gay. Professionally, I work in IT as a sales leader for a multinational company. That's my day job. My night job is to be a stand-up comedian or trying to be one. But I think that's a tougher challenge that I've taken, because to make strangers laugh, which I think GJ for her is so natural. For people like me, we have to think.
Pay you later.
There you go. It's an evidence. For people like me, we'll have to think and write and see what would actually make people laugh. Then write your script and then perform. I love it. I love what I do. My day job allows me to travel, interact with lots of different people from different culture, which I enjoy, and I live my life. So that's a little bit about me. So thank you, guys.
Fully operational, huh? Well, I'll be the judge of that.
Hello, Moto.
Let's start off by asking each of you, what is your motto? Motto in life?
Motto.
My motto.
Mortal.
Is that Mortal?
That's how you actually pronounce motto, by the way?
Yeah.
Oh, bloody British. Saying it wrong. Anyway, what's your motto in life, Radhe?
So for me, I think it's about just living life without regrets. Every day is a new day. It's a chance to make a difference. And this podcast thing is completely new to me. So I'm hoping it will bring me becoming more resilient, but growth. Growth is the main thing. So whatever I can learn from you all, from the people out there, I'm taking this as a journey of growth.
Perfect, thank you. GJ, what's your motto in life?
Leave the world a better place than you find it. So for me, it's all about making a difference. As cheesy as it sounds, and past the duppy, innit? That's facts though. So for me, what I do, like with my art stuff, I'm so passionate about it that, like, if you can engage the community, get everyone together, making art, expressing themselves, that's what I'm about.
Awesome. And Suja, what's your motto in life? Motto.
I think you only have one life, and if you do it well, one life is more than enough. And I think that's very much about just being, like the other ladies have said, it's very much just being about being true to yourself and just kind of just going for it and not being bowed down by the constraints that people put on us.
Or being afraid.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do not let fear ruin people.
And this is the thing for me, like, I'm just so out of my comfort zone. So doing this, I haven't done it on my own social media, and I'm like, on a party.
Yeah, I drag you guys out.
Let's go big or go home. Right?
You're like, I'm never going to dinner with you again.
Pardon, that's the last time.
Yeah, it was like one dinner on my birthday. And
last week.
So that's how great ideas are born.
What's your motto?
My motto is to actually say the word right. But apart from that, I think it's about exactly what you guys said, right? Take each day as it comes. Not to hold grudges with lots of people, just few, and for the right reasons. Otherwise, you lose your self-respect. I think it's very important that we do not lose our self-respect. And I think it's about just being happy and not taking life too seriously. I think we've got enough going on in our lives, and I'm sure, Radhe, you know this really well. You've actually faced death, literally, and you never know when all our lives end, right? So it's about making memories. Life is all about just making memories, and I think speaking out the truth is very important. But at the same time, having the balls to point out to people who've done wrong, so that others are not harmed, but also enjoying as life comes in. So that's my motto in life. Okay, so guys, what I've done is I've prepared a few questions, quite thought-provoking questions. I don't know who else it provokes. It definitely provoked me for a few questions to think through, right? And so, shall we discuss some of these topics, if that's okay with you guys?
If we say no, you're still going to make us do it anyway.
Yeah,
so.
that's true. So there's this myth that I grew up with, which is Nalla ponna varu, right? So the good Tamil woman. You know when did you first realize you weren't what the community expected? Don't tell me, Sujat, from the day you were born, but
I think I realised probably pretty early on that I wasn't quite what they wanted me to be, because it was a case of, my parents wanted me to be quieter, or they wanted me to study harder, or they wanted me to learn Bharatanatyam, or music, or there were certain things that they wanted you to do, right, that you didn't really want to do, but it was just the way of the world. And I think pretty early on you kind of go, okay, it's easier for you if you just go along the path that's been set.
yeah.
Because for all of us, especially as Tamil women, there's a path that's been set. As soon as you're born, you're going to do this, you're going to study, you're going to get married, you're going to have children, you're not going to put a foot wrong in whoever's eyes that may seem. And then that's it, you die. And for me, I think, like I said, I realised pretty early on that I wasn't going to...
When was it actually?
I think I've always known that I wasn't going to be. But I think it was
You're gonna be a
definitely... Yeah, I think, when I ran away from home at 17
There you go.
with a boy.
I wish too.
I know. Jeez. And this was, but this was before the time of social media, but even then it was like, full news in the, in the
Common pages.
the Japan news, it was full news that, so just ran away. Especially because I ran away with a boy from the same ward as me, so it was like, yeah, so I think, right then and there it was like, oh. And then I know, even after I got married, to not the boy I ran away with, strangely, I know people were using me as an example of don't turn out like Sudha.
Wow.
Wow.
So even though...
At least you turned out to be an example.
Yeah, but... but this was like, obviously I ran away from home, but then I came back, I got married to a respectable man, as it were, but they still just saw the mistake that I'd made as a 17-year-old child. And that I held on to that for a long time, because I was like, I felt for a long time that I was the sum of my mistakes. And I think it was in my, literally in the past couple of years where I've realised that no, I was a child when I made those mistakes, and actually you're meant to make mistakes as humans even.
That was probably a defining moment for you.
Yeah.
DJ, you are part of two communities, the German and the Tamil.
But although, can I just say, Amma's more Tamil than Appa.
There you go, yeah.
So she'll go in the hospital wearing batik Nikes. All the Tamil people visit her there. I think I'm asking for somebody.
I must be Tamil.
Yeah, a little bit. She can get by. So Appa's so the opposite, yeah, and all his family are Ayers, right? So he's and he's the carnivore vegetarian of the family.
Wow, he's supposed to be pure vegetarian.
He's so the opposite. Married a white woman, divorced the white woman, so he caused quite a stir within the family. So for me it was different because they divorced when I was young, right?
Yeah.
So mum primarily raised me. She was so cool, laid back and relaxed, but then when I came, that was it. Right, I think
I should ask your dad, when did he fancy? He just broke all the rules.
Basically. Exactly. Then he came and he was like, you're not allowed to go out. And I'm like, but wait, I'm let me out. And you'll say, no, I'm not allowed. And then even when I used to DJ back in the day.
Wow.
Yeah, and then there was...
DJ the DJ.
Wow. And then I played it so loud that I got a noise complaint from the council. And the neighbours complained. And I goes, turn it louder. Booyaka. Back in the day. So she went around the house going, booyaka, booyaka. And then the upper would come, Mahal. And everyone used to think my name was Mahal. Because particular people, not you Jaffna lot, right? Particular people call us Mahal and Mahal. So all my friends at school, I thought, it was so funny. He was like, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. So when I said, I want to do art GCSE, he looked at me like screw face, you're not doing it. And I'm like, I'm doing it. I don't care what you say because I'm going to do what makes me happy. Yeah. And he forced me down that tuition route and showed me so many marriage proposals. One was a relative. And I'm like, are you alright? No, clearly, really, what is this? And I just said no to everything. He still argues with me and calls her and complains about me, but at the end of the day,
I was brought up in a joint family, 18 of us. So
Wow.
my mom's side, so I don't know if you guys know, but in Kerala, we're a matriarchal society. But all nonsense happens, even though we are matriarchal. So my mom's side was a joint family, and my dad was living with his in-laws, right? And he was looking after the business and stuff. And in my case, it was like lots of cousins, lots of uncles, and obviously I was the oldest granddaughter for my mom's dad, my granddad, and I had to be a certain way because we were a well-known business family in Coimbatore. So ponnu madri ukkaru. So I'm always used to sitting like this, but it's like ponnu madri ukkaru. That temperature they should have known that I'm not going to be a straight. Anyway, they didn't get the hint. And then it was like my dad actually brought me up. It was very conflicting for me because he brought me up like his son, but at the same time. And he always told me, do not look at boys, which I obediently listened to. I only looked at boys.
Thank the Lord.
You can't say you didn't listen to me.
No, I didn't.
We might say that now.
If only it was a guy who said, good daughter. Yeah, it was, my grandmother would say, you know, don't be like like your brothers, your cousins. They are allowed to go out. And I was always told that, okay, at 21, 22, you are going to get married. This is your life, but my dad wanted me to, you know, pursue a career, do these things. He used to take me out for business meetings when I was 6, 7.
Yeah.
So I learned the art of business and everything very young age, and traveled the world at a very young age with my dad for business travel. So you know, it was inculcated in me that do not give up who you are. By my dad, but there was the rest of the family who was like, but you're a woman, you know, so that it was very conflicting for me while I was growing up. And we will talk about a few topics about, you know, how certain events, tragic events in your life takes away that innocence, right? About being sexually molested and when you're 5 or 6 and stuff like that. But, you know, it really impacts. And honestly, talking about child sex abuse, I was of the opinion that it never happens abroad, in the UK and in the Western world. But when I came here, talked to Suja and a few others, I was shocked to know that it actually happens everywhere.
I remember her like reaction. She was like, "Hey."
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, and it took her a while to kind of even register. She was like, but you live in the UK. I said,
Yeah.
That doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, because I thought, you know, sex education is quite open in schools here. I don't know. I was when I got
It doesn't
my
stop that generation though.
yeah, but when I got my periods, for example, I thought I was going to die because all the
sister did too.
advertisements for sanitary napkins was with blue ink.
And you were served.
Yeah, and I was like, God. So that's like, yeah, and I thought I was a smurf, actually. What the hell, I'm not. So, you know, so nobody was there to tell us all this. But I thought in the Western world, where you guys grew up, you know, these things are openly talked about. But then even here, it's shoved under the carpet
See
by
that carpet is all shoved
exactly.
underneath, yeah.
By the
Don't wanna pick it
own
up.
family, right? And you expect to pretend to be nice and laughing and smiling. So yeah, all of these have defined who I am. But there's always a question, right, that I get from my friends and family. Did you turn gay because of something that happened in your childhood? No. I mean, it's not because I was sexually abused as a child that I've turned out gay, that I hate men. But it's not because of that. I just can't trust men, unfortunately. And I feel I'm physically attracted and emotionally attracted to women. That's it. There's nothing more to dig into that kind of topic, which is...
When did you know, or did you like always know?
Yeah, I knew when I was probably 13, 14 that I was... My first crush was my school teacher, which is probably every boy's story as well. So I identify myself very closely aligned to men, only in that aspect, being attracted to women. Emotionally, I'm more intelligent than they. No, I'm just joking, but I have some really good friends who are guys, and honestly, a couple of my friends, guys, were also sexually abused by men and women. You know, so it's not
It's more
just,
common than you think.
Yeah,
it's just not spoken about.
exactly, and I
Especially in
think
our
these
community.
topics have to be talked about. I think the most important thing is for parents to, support their kids in this kind of matter. Pull these guys and girls or women who are actually abusing these children and take them to the right way of law, right? I mean, why should you, because he's your uncle, because he's your brother, because it doesn't matter. You have to protect kids, right? That's more important. Anyway, sidelining from your point of view, so when did you think when did you realize you were doing things against the community?
I think I was really fortunate in the sense that my parents were really, they were always very supportive of us. And I'm the eldest of 3 girls, so I always felt like I was the icebreaker in the family. And,
You brought more than ice.
I felt like I was the rebel, because obviously everything I did was, I had to lead by example. So if I didn't study this or if I didn't study that, then my sisters are not going to. So I felt that pressure growing up. But I felt, I don't know, a lot of you guys know, as being the eldest, obviously, so I think you feel that kind of pressure from a very young age that you have to set an example, you have to be the good one, and so it's really difficult when you stand against that. But I think that's made me resilient. It's made me who I am now. So when I look back at it, I'm thinking, wow, that's massive actually. But I'm very conscious that as a mother of 3, that I don't do that to my children. So they're all individuals, and children are a blessing, and they're given to you. But I learn a lot from them. But apart from that, I think it's I think the most that kind of defining moment probably came when I was also getting a divorce, and that was back in 2020. And I think just making that decision, for me it was really difficult and it was very hard. And then obviously going through with it, it was a really tough journey. But we've come out of it, and it's great. Like we cohabit, we look after our 3 children together. We've done what most people can't do, and it's taken a lot of work.
People can't do that married.
Yeah, I think you have a better relationship.
Do you know what it is now? Looking, because I've known them since before they were married for over 20 whatever
He's your
years.
matcha, isn't he?
He is. So looking at them now, you wouldn't ever tell. They're like the best of friends. It's such a good relationship, and the most important thing is the kids are happy. Simple.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So look, they get on well. They go, do everything for the kids.
Yeah. So I think we both made that decision that whatever we do in life, we put the 3 children first and foremost, and it's their well-being, and that's the most important for both of us. So we could relate on that side of things, and everything we do, we put that into perspective, and then we make that decision. So I think we've both grown from that journey. And I don't believe in staying with someone just because you're married or just for the sake of the kids. I think you need to show your children what a healthy relationship is. You need to lead by example. And it's difficult in our community because people are obviously, have certain views on it. But at the end it's not the end of the world.
So how did you get the courage to, what actually triggered
So
that?
I think it's funny you asked that, because I can actually pinpoint that one moment when I knew, and that was when we were going through marriage counselling, and the counsellor just said to me, if your daughter was in your situation, what would you tell her?
Wow.
And
That's a deep question.
And that just it just broke me, and I realised that, okay, if that was my daughter in that situation, I would say just leave and come home to your mum.
Yeah.
And I'm here for you. And I knew that was the answer. So I went away thinking I can't keep living knowing this is what it is.
Wow.
And then I made that decision, and I never looked back. I think my life.
Your parents, were they supportive?
Yeah, I think my parents. It was hard for everyone in the family because they were very close. He's like the son they ever had.
Yeah.
So it was really difficult, and I felt guilty for many years about it. But at the same time, I thought, okay, a mother of 3, you're divorced, and that's the end of my life. And that's honestly what I felt.
Wow.
Because
That's the way you were raised.
That's
the
how
way
I
you were
felt.
raised,
Yeah.
right?
And when you get married, you never ever contemplate thinking you're going to get divorced.
Yeah.
Especially when you've got children in that marriage. And it's the worst place to be in. And I think that was harder than even my cancer. So at that time, because there's feelings, there's emotions involved, there's so many people, it's families, it's your children, it's
Technically
your
something you had control
it's
of.
everything. And so it was such a big moment of my life, and it was hard. But you know, I believe in God, and I think everything happens for a reason in life. And you know, you cross paths with people, some stay, some don't. But at the end of the day, at least my children know what's a healthy relationship, and I can't, you know, expose them to a toxic environment. It wasn't a toxic environment like that. It's just something that I just felt it's not for me now. And I couldn't. I had to move forward. So I've never looked back, and I think we're in a much better place, and
100%.
we're really happy. Everyone's happy now. So it's a
That's
good
so
ending.
nice. Yeah, that's very
Most of us here are single then.
Well, except you two.
You
love
two.
it.
I can tell you that. That's why I think most of us, which is half of us.
Half of us.
Suja, are you good, or do you want a moment?
I think the whole
That's
world
not the
came.
bad
In
one.
fact, you know, the power of social media. Even before we were dating, there were a couple of our friends who came and said, "Oh, from your social media, we knew you guys are going out." And like, no, we didn't. They just felt the chemistry through social media. And oh shit!
my cousin, when I rang her to say, "Oh my god, you know, like I kissed Suju," she goes, "I was waiting for that to happen." I was like,
What?
I was like, what? I was like, how
But did you even know before everybody else knew?
None of us knew. None of us knew.
Me, I definitely didn't know. I was the one who turned around and did it. So it was definitely not on the cards.
Anyway, so half of us are on
Dating apps.
single.
Okay.
And I'm just confirming. and so, like, how do you get to? I think in this current scenario, the days that we're living in, it's more on dating apps that you get to meet people, right? Because it's so difficult to meet people face to face, like back in those days, right? Because we're all busy with life, and it's all about like convenience, swipe left,
Swipe
right.
left. My
Just
finger
by you're funny, man.
Half of them you know. Half of them are married.
Wow, so half of them are already married.
Yes.
Yeah, and you know that they're married. And like,
And I'm not the most tactful person, you know me. So I'm like, how do you have that conversation?
that is amazing.
So-
That's an eye opener for me. So I mean, it's
So what
not.
has happened when you have known someone and you're like, hold on, I know you're married to so and so?
Because like, I just feel the need that I need to open my mouth. Like, really.
So
Because
you
this is
tell
what
them, have you
I
opened
do.
your
Like,
mouth?
if there's a mutual friend, I get them to do it.
Okay.
And I outsource the
nice.
work.
You delegate.
But it depends on how well I know that person.
Yeah.
Because obviously, if I know them through a friend or whatever, like in the Tamil community, dog, window cleaners, brother-in-laws, yes, we know them.
Yeah.
But like, reality, if they're close, then I will have that conversation. But it's like, you feel really guilty, but on one hand, but the other hand is like, you have this duty to like, to tell them, right?
Yeah.
It's both. You see both both sides. It's not necessarily just always the guy. It could be the woman as well.
Yeah.
But
No, you're right, GJ. I mean, we were talking to some friends of ours who are in their 20s. They work 2 jobs, 3 jobs a day and want some companionship.
Yeah.
Genuinely looking for some love and affection and care outside their toxic families. You know, at least to get one relationship which is non-toxic, right? And then they go on these apps and they are genuinely scared.
because you need to be
kind
an
of people.
FBI agent in this day and age.
Forensic agent.
Well, we all
is
have
what
that
somebody
friend
called
that is
me.
an FBI agent.
Yeah, but-
You're my FBI agent. So.
But you have to, because if
So
you
they
don't
know
know,
everyone else is in
but
bed.
honestly, how do you trust them on face value?
Yeah.
Like, it's scary to say, but we're living in a society where if you don't do that FBI work, it could be a scary
But
outcome.
unfortunately, right, just from people that I know that some women are kind of looking for that love and validation and attention, that they will just take it at face value, right? And they won't do the FBI work, and they will literally, you know, when the person turns around and says, oh, you know, I don't have social media, they will turn around and say, oh, you know, they're not, they don't have a digital footprint. Everyone nowadays, whether they have social media or not, will have a digital footprint of some sort. So it's about kind of doing that background work. But
But so you're saying that if they don't have that digital footprint, that's a red flag?
Yes.
yes,
Yeah?
Yeah.
I think it is.
For sure.
I think
Yeah.
it is,
Yeah.
right?
especially
Because
because
you've got like work,
This
you've
day
got
and age,
LinkedIn,
yeah.
you've got the professional side, then you've got the social side.
Yeah.
Some people might not be on socials, but they'll still have professional side.
yeah.
Life has changed, isn't it, from when
It's
we
really
were growing up?
yeah, it's
Like
not
in
the
those
same.
days, if they had a digital footprint,
Yes.
you'd be like, hey, what's
Exactly.
he doing?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right? But these days,
It's
I
really
mean,
difficult.
I don't think it's reached the level of catfishing, although in TikTok there's a lot of catfishing.
But it
And
does
this is-
happen,
yeah.
and it happens
There
to
is.
women like us that you don't think, how can you be that whatless?
Yeah.
Like, for real. Like, what's
Exactly.
wrong with you? But it does
Technically,
happen.
technically,
Because it's the age that we're at.
intact,
We
yeah.
work,
Yeah.
as Rihanna said. But like, okay, so where do you get the opportunity? You don't. You can't approach a guy on the train and think you're a crackhead. Hey, you're darling. Do you know? Yeah, but no, it doesn't work like that. So that is the main way to meet people.
Yeah. Either do your FBI work
Yeah.
digitally, or I think go through the old, like our part-time move used to do. I'm sure if, at least if you are dating a Tamil guy,
Yeah.
you know for sure that they're part of the community, which is quite close-knit. Amazing, right? I don't think even the Indian Tamil community is such close-knit like the Elam Tamil community. Everybody kind of knows
If you don't know
someone.
you're either related to
Yeah.
them.
Basically, yeah. It's true though.
Do your homework is
Yeah,
what I'd
exactly.
say. I mean, before you
100%.
invest your time, your heart, your emotions, your
Your money.
money.
No, but it's not that. It depends on what you want. Like,
Yeah.
if you're into that sort of thing, that's cool. But
Yeah.
if you're into something, you want a serious relationship,
Yeah.
then
That's
that's
true.
when you
Yeah, and
have
if they
to.
say they're divorced, ask them for their divorce papers.
No, but it's true though.
Yeah.
Rocket science.
It's very true.
No, it's
Very
true
true.
because you can say that, but then they're happily married at home or whatever. You just
Yeah.
don't know what goes on behind closed doors.
I remember that, I mean, this is a lesbian relationship. A friend of mine, she went on a date with this Jamaican woman, and and she said on the first date, before you come, please bring your blood test, your some other test that you needed to do, and
They don't play, you know.
They are so.
Yeah, but I don't think there's anything.
It
I
is
don't
not-
think there's wrong with
And
it.
she said no, and she had to bring her report, present it to her, and then they're still together, right? So I mean, these are the kind of
Yeah, but
things,
it's about
yeah.
that. Actually,
right?
well, if you're going to work and you're going to get a job, they're going to ask you this stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
So
why
why
not
would you let
dating?
someone
Why
in your
not-
own life
It's true.
and in your own bed or whatever it is?
Yeah.
And not ask
Why not?
At
Yeah.
least you know that they're not going to be like a psycho or whatever.
just do a reference check.
Your
Yeah.
heredity and everything, right? I would
I mean,
just
actually,
like,
Record.
If you think of like bank loans, if you think of rental properties, they
Exactly.
all ask for reference
Yeah.
checks.
yeah.
So, yeah,
why
who's
not
doing
do
it?
it?
Who's doing the reference check
Yeah,
when you're
yeah,
trying to get
I was
married to
gonna say
someone?
It'll be great to have a checklist from this podcast, like what things
Yeah.
are.
And you have to pass the interview.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
you have to look at them and like.
It's like a panel discussion, panel interview.
And if you don't pass that, then that's it.
And then sometimes there's practical interviews too.
Yeah. That's the third stage. Third stage.
I don't know what you guys are talking about.
I don't know either.
It's okay, you and I know.
In the game world, we just shake hands or read books. Yeah, I mean, this is quite. I mean, we laugh about it, but it's happening, right? We see
It's scary.
a lot of these
Very
married
scary, very
people
scary. Very scary.
trying to pretend to be single, and how do you protect? I mean, if that's your thing, then as you said,
Yeah.
it's mine. But if you're looking for a serious relationship, planning to get married, try find somebody who's actually single and not married already.
Yeah.
So that really helps, right?
Aiyoo Pathikichu, 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 kanne.
Aiyoo Pathikichu, 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 oh, oh, penne.